Content warning. This video discusses urban scavenging, non-lethal self-defense, and emergency food strategies for extreme situations. Nothing here replaces professional training, legal advice, or medical care. Practice with qualified instructors and know local laws before you act. Truck stopped. Shelves bare. Your pantry has 3 cans left and half a bag of rice. The question isn't romantic. What do you eat tomorrow? The answer is brutal and math-based. You balance calories, time, and risk. You do less with more intelligence. This is how to not starve to death when the supply chain breaks. First, set your baseline. Food, water, safety. In that order. Food won't feed you if you're hurt or arrested. Water matters more than people expect. Safety is the multiplier. A good haul that gets taken from you is worthless. Treat every sortie like a mission. Plan, reduce variables, and return intact. Think in terms of energy economy. Every step has a cost. Walking an extra mile carrying a heavy pack burns calories. Lifting and wrestling with a jammed crate burns more. If you burn 500 calories getting a 600-calorie snack, you've lost. Aim for calorie density and efficiency. That's why fat and dry staples matter. A pound of fat stores roughly 4,000 calories. A pound of sugar or oil moves your survival needle far more than a pound of lettuce. Your body is not just flesh. It's a transport system and a tool. Your skeleton is the frame, your joints are hinges and fulcrums, your muscles are springs. When you understand the kinetic chain, how force travels from your feet through hips and spine to your hands, you work smarter, not harder. Use angles, leverage, and gravity to move heavy things. That saves calories and reduces injury risk. Before you go anywhere, do these 3 things. Pick a target, pick a route, pick a rollout time. A target is not everything. It's 1 or 2 items that maximize calories per unit of time and reduce handling. A route is not the fastest path if it cuts you off from exits. Trials of people packing groceries into a car are not the model. Think like a courier. Quick in, efficient load, predictable exit. Time of day matters. Avoid peak crowd movement. Know where you can duck into shadows, where vehicles can block sightlines, and where your escape gaps are. Where to look first. High value, shelf-stable, calorie-dense targets. Canned goods. Beans, meats, soups. Check seals. Avoid bulging cans. Canned fats and stews are easy calories and often overlooked. Cooking fats. Lard, tallow, large tubs of oil. Calorie-dense and multi-purpose. Dry staples. Rice, pasta, dried beans, instant potatoes, powdered milk, lightweight per calorie. Pet food, often packed in large bags, calorie-dense, shelf-stable. Not ideal taste, but survival food. MREs and military rations if available, compact and calorically dense. Condiments and sugar, small but high calorie. Sugar lasts and cooks easily.
Jerky and sealed proteins, lightweight protein sources that don't spoil fast. Secondary sources. Restaurants and bakeries often have large quantities of bread and fats when they shut down. Back rooms and dumpsters behind food service can be fruitful, but risk hygiene issues. Warehouse loading docks, employee break rooms, and delivery pallets at the rear of stores are more likely to have untouched stock than display shelves. Urban community gardens, rooftop planters, and neglected ornamental fruit trees are slow but sustainable options. Think medium and long term. Approach with hygiene in mind. If something looks off, bulging cans, bad odor, major rust that compromises seals, severe water damage, skip it. If you can, reheat or boil questionable food. Heat kills many pathogens. It doesn't fix chemical contamination. When in doubt, preserve your health over immediate calories. Food that makes you sick means more calories spent and more risk. Movement and lifting, the fundamentals. You don't need to be a gym rat. You need to move with intent. Stand with your feet under the load, hips back, chest up. Bend at the hips and knees, not the lower back. Your legs are the horsepower. Your spine is the transfer shaft. Get the load tight to your body. The longer the lever between the weight and your center of mass, the more energy you waste and the greater injury risk. Use your hips to drive the weight up. The hips are the body's strongest motors. Think hip hinge rather than back bend. When prying things loose, use the environment as your fulcrum. You are aiming to change leverage, not to apply brute force. A flat-ended pry tool or a stout bar can translate small input into large output when used with a firm anchor point. Slide, rotate, and let gravity help. If a crate wants to stick, don't just pull. Reposition the fulcrum, tap along the seam, work around the perimeter. Small rotations often break stubborn seals faster than raw pulling. Carrying, minimize trips. Your pack or carry system is an extension of your frame. Use a hip belt when possible so weight sits on the pelvis, not the shoulders. Distribute heavier items low and close to your center line. Keep the heaviest piece over the hips. If you have a group, split even loads and carry in staggered formation so you maintain sight lines and escape paths. When you must drag, make a low-friction sled from a tarp or strong fabric. Tie load securely and keep the center of mass low. If you have time to prepare for an outing, repurpose common items into better carriers. Use wide straps looped under a pallet to convert it into a shoulder harness, or convert backpacks into panniers for bikes. But don't overcomplicate. An improvised sling made from a tarp and cord is better than a fancy system you can't put on under stress. Non-lethal defense and escape. The entire defensive strategy here is to create space, break contact, and exit with your haul. Think like a runner, not a gladiator.
The moment a situation escalates beyond what you can manage, your decision is to leave. That mindset alone reduces many risks. Distance management is your first tool. Keep pockets of empty space between you and potential threats. Use cover, cars, shelving, pillars, to force any aggressor to slow or change approach. If someone approaches with hostile intent, create an obstacle. Slam a door, push between racks, pull a cart to block. Noise and light can be both a liability and a tool. In tight urban sites, a sudden clatter behind you gives you a moment to pivot. Footwork matters. Move like Muhammad Ali in narrow spaces. Light on your feet, weight balanced, circular steps to avoid getting boxed in. Small lateral steps can create angles to exit. Forward lunges commit you and cost energy. Keep your base low when moving heavy loads. If you must redirect a grab or attempt to disable pursuit long enough to flee, focus on breaking the opponent's balance and creating a lane. A shove to the torso combined with a step off the line opens space. Those are short, explosive motions designed only to make the gap you need. Tools are multi-purpose. A sturdy pry bar is primarily a tool, opening crates, levering pallets, breaking seals. Its existence is not an invitation to use it as a weapon. A baton-style tool can be used to strike a single line to create distance, but avoid strikes intended to injure deeply. Emphasize temporary disabling, enough to make your exit, not lasting harm. Always remember legality and consequences. Even defensive actions can have legal repercussions. Document, avoid escalation, and if possible, de-escalate verbally and retreat. Practice stress inoculation. High-stress situations narrow your focus. Box breathing is a simple, immediate tool used by many special operations and emergency teams to preserve fine motor control and clear thinking. Do this for 1 minute before a task and immediately after a stressful moment. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Repeat 4 cycles. It's not magic, but it lowers heart rate and gives your hands and mind a chance to re-coordinate. Now, in the field, a short scenario. You slip into a warehouse loading area. A pallet has intact shrink-wrapped boxes of rice. You have one backpacked and 1 minute before someone patrols back. Keep eyes on the doorways. Move deliberately. Slide the pallet to a position that gives a clear exit path. Break individual boxes at their weakest seam. Extract sealed bags instead of tearing through the whole box. Stack items in your pack with heavy items nearest the hips. If you hear boots behind you, do not freeze. Your choices are hide, fight, or run. Hide if you can create concealment and wait. Run if you have a clear path. Fight only to create space for escape, not to win a fight. Food preservation and short-term storage when power is gone are about reducing spoilage and pests. Prioritize dry storage.
Keep items elevated on pallets or shelves and off damp floors. Seal foods in airtight containers where possible. For fats and oils, keep them in dark, cool areas. They'll last longer if shielded from sunlight. For can rotation, use a simple system. Newest at the back, oldest at the front. Mark dates with a grease pencil. Rodent-proofing can be improvised. Store food in metal containers when possible. Repair holes in storage sites, and keep scented attractants sealed. If you must preserve fresh food without refrigeration, think drying and smoking at a high level. Thin strips dry faster. Warm, dry air and airflow are your allies. Salt and smoke are ancient preservers, but they require technique and caution to avoid spoilage. Fermentation can preserve vegetables reliably, but only after learning basic sanitation for starters. If unfamiliar, prioritize dry goods and canned goods until you learn these methods properly. Water is non-negotiable. Boil when possible. Rolling boil for 1 minute kills most pathogens. If you have filtration, use it, then boil if you suspect contamination. Chemical treatments can be effective, but follow product guidance. Dehydration is quicker to kill than starvation. Always carry water or know reliable local sources. Training and community are your force multipliers. Solo work is often riskier. Form neighborhood networks for barter, guard shifts, and shared food production. Small trusted groups can reduce the need for risky scavenging. Teach and learn. Practicing lifts, timed runs, and dress rehearsals of exits will reduce panic. Get professional instruction for self-defense and load carriage techniques. This is not optional. Practice under pressure with proper feedback. Legal and ethical boundaries. Scavenging is different from organized theft. Laws vary. In many places, entering private property without permission is criminal. Only ever consider civil disobedience in true survival emergencies. Document situations if possible and avoid actions that will get detained, injured, or worse. Barter, mutual aid, and community gardens are safe for long-term strategies. Your ethical compass matters. Stealing another person's life-saving stock in a crisis is not a path to community survival. Short hygiene rules for found food. Look, smell, and think. If the can is bulging, corroded through, or emits a sour smell when opened, do not eat it. Rinse off visible grime, reheat to boiling point when practical. Avoid dead animals you find unless you have clear knowledge of how long they've been there and how to process them safely. Pet food is acceptable in a survival pinch, but ration it and prioritize moving it to your own sealed containers. Now the practical checklist you can use immediately for a first food run. Make a quick inventory at home. What's left? What can be eaten first? Rotate perishables. Choose one target. High-calorie, shelf-stable items only.
Pack for the trip: sturdy backpack, gloves, headlamp, multi-tool, water, reseal bags, duct tape, a tarp, and a strap or two. Bring a first aid kit. Plan your route with 2 alternate exits. Time windows when fewer people are around. Dress for movement. Layers, durable footwear, hands-free. Keep pockets minimal to avoid snagging. Practice box breathing twice before you leave, and if you feel adrenaline spike during the run. Load smart. Heavy nearest your hips, compress to reduce swing, limit to what you can carry with a clear escape. On contact with others, prioritize de-escalation and retreat. If physically engaged, create a lane and get out. On return, check food visually and with simple smells. Reheat suspect items, store elevated and sealed. Medium-term priorities for reducing starvation risk. Build a small, diversified stockpile focusing on calorie density and variety. Rice, beans, powdered milk, cooking fat, canned meat, sugar, salt. Learn a few preservation skills, basic canning, drying, and proper dehydration of meats if legally and safely possible. Start microfood production, container gardening, sprouting legumes and grains, small chicken keeping where legal. Strengthen community ties. Map out who has skills you need, gardeners, mechanics, medics, and build barter relationships. Train regularly. Load carrying, movement underload, stress drills, and lawful self-defense focused on escape. Mental resilience. Starvation is not only physical, but psychological. Routines and small wins matter. Rotate stock so you always feel some control. Practice simple tasks daily, preparing a small meal from your reserves, repairing a pack strap, checking water filters. Each small competence reduces panic. A final practical drill you can do tonight. Fill a pack with a planned one-run load, realistic weight, and time yourself along the route you take. Note choke points and places you'd be visible. Repeat weekly and lower your time while keeping safety margins. That rehearsal turns panic into procedure. Listen, when the supply chain unravels, exaggeration and bravado will get people hurt. The path to staying ahead is dull and disciplined. Prioritize calories per effort, protect your body, make your exits predictable, and keep your ethics intact. Train, rehearse, build networks, and store intelligently. Those 4 things: plan, acquire, move smart, preserve. Keep you fed longer than violence or luck ever will. If this hit you and you want a one-page emergency food checklist you can print and carry, download the emergency food checklist in the pinned link. Use it, tape it inside your pack. Stay practical, stay calm, practice the basics. With planning, smart movement, and a focus on escape over confrontation, you'll drastically improve your odds of not starving when the supply chain breaks.
If you found this useful, subscribe for the next module, where we break down safe, repeatable drills for load carriage, and download the one-page emergency food checklist linked in the description.